Nice. Hello and welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a Legacy Prelim. A deck that, a format that I haven't played in yet. A tournament that I haven't played in yet. With Green-White Maverick. I think Green-White's pretty well positioned because of the amount of bug around. I think that being able to have a pretty solid mana base with basics is really nice. And also playing Mirran Crusader is really good. Especially in a deck that can cast it on turn 2 thanks to Noble's Birds and Dryad Arbor. One thing that I have been testing on and off because of the amount of basics in the format is Rishadan Port, which I have played to some success, which has been really fun. We are playing 3 Wastelands, which might seem pretty rough, but if we do coming up against a deck where Wasteland's really important, we can bring in Reanimator from the sideboard, which is nice to make sure that we can always have access to them after they go to the graveyard. The deck is pretty straightforward. It's a little bit different to Achilles 27's list, who's been dominating pretty much with Green-White recently. 1 minute. I think Deafening Silence is a little bit better than Chalice right now, so I'm going to use that as combo hate. Veil of Summer is great against some of the decks with Hand Disruption, combo decks like Tendrils. Even against some of the blue decks, just to make sure your stuff can't be countered is really nice. Collector Ouphe is great against the Taxes decks, any sort of Astrolabe decks, any sort of Khan decks as well, and also Eldrazi. Ramanap's great against some of the more mid-range decks with a lot of jewels. Force of Vigor is my choice of sideboard hate. You could play Knight of Autumn if you wish, because you can fight all the Green Suns, which is really nice, but Force of Vigor is my choice today. Council's Judgment is mainly for True Name and for other Planeswalkers that just might be a little bit tough to deal with. An Extra Path is really nice against the Delver decks. Hexstring is nice against the decks that have a hard time dealing with it once it's up to 3. It can be pretty good against the other fair decks of the format, which is really nice, so that should be interesting. And then my sideboard is looking at Bojuka Bog, Surgical, and Tormont's Crypt. Not playing Crop Rotation in this version, but I have played it in the past, and really enjoyed it, so... that should be pretty sweet. Really looking forward to just seeing how this deck goes. Hey ETL Hunter, welcome. GM, thank you very much. I hope you're having a nice day at work. Luckily I got today off, which is cool. Had a wedding for the weekend, but just, of course, that was cancelled, so kept the day off to play the prelim. I believe there's another one in about 8 hours that I'll also play, which is very cool. Don't often get chances to play some of the bigger events, so hopefully we do okay. But yeah, I think the deck looks pretty well positioned. I think that the port's going to be pretty interesting and might raise some eyebrows, but I think against a lot of the basic heavy decks, it's going to be pretty nice at trying to keep them off mana where Wasteland can't really do that. Oh, match has started. Okay. Well, good luck to my opponent. This is an interesting one. It's a 1-lander, but I do have the double Hierarch start, which is nice. And of course, Scryb Ranger allows me to make my land drops later on. The Batterskull's kind of dead, but with the amount of mana we have, we can probably power this out maybe on turn 4, so I'm going to keep this and see how it slides. I think the start that I don't want to see is like a turn 1 Delver, and then them daze the Noble Hierarch and Wasteland the Savannah. Scalding Tarn is pretty close to that, but it looks like it's just going to be Scalding Tarn pass. Okay. Green Suns. I think just Hierarch here again. I could Green Suns for Dryad Arbor, but it doesn't play around Spell Pierce. So I'd rather only try to play around Daze. Interesting. Snow Covered most likely means that they're on some sort of Ice Fang or Astrolabe version. So this will be interesting how they brainstorm, because usually a deck with Snow Covered Islands aren't going to be one with Wasteland, which is nice for us. Hey Damo, hope the family as well. I do like the pics coming on Twitter of the little guy, a little girl. But but I hope you guys are well, especially in the lockdown. Just a pass, okay. Interesting. Windswept's pretty nice. I don't think this is a Terminus deck. So for Green Suns, we have a few good options. Scryb Ranger we already have in hand, so we have Scavenging Ooze, Qasali Pridemage. We can go get another bird if we wish. I think Thalia is definitely the card that I want to play. And then maybe just play the Hierarch off a basic forest. Trop, okay. Impulse. Okay, this makes me think it's going to be a blue-green OmniTell, which is a pretty rough matchup. We don't have anything great from the board outside of Deafening Silence and Force of Vigor. So I think this Green Suns is most likely just going to go for Qasali Pridemage. So I probably want to make sure that I can get some more mana in play in Noble Hierarch this turn. Probably don't really care about the dual lands as well. This definitely isn't a Blood Moon deck, so I'd rather have open all my mana. Yeah. So this is pretty rough. We don't have anything to put in that's really going to be effective. Scryb Ranger allows us to untap a Noble Hierarch, but of course we can't use it this turn. I guess Scryb is not the worst because we can try to... I guess Scryb Ranger gives us more mana next turn if we do get a next turn, so we can maybe use Green Suns a little bit better, so we'll go for Scryb, but Omni 1 card is pretty good. At least if this one card isn't... Okay. Not the worst. We'll see what they do, because we can go get Qasali Pridemage next turn, and hopefully get that chance. So I want to see 2 cards to the bottom here. 2 to the bottom, draws 1. Draws a random card. Ponder. Haha, rough. Alright. The dig does begin. Chose not to shuffle. Rough. Emrakul's pretty good. Can't beat that. So boarding's pretty interesting. I definitely like the Deafening Silences, and I definitely like the Force of Vigors. Force is pretty nice because you can get rid of Omniscience, and Deafening Silence means that they can only cast 1 spell a turn. Veil's also pretty nice because it means on the play I can make sure that I'm actually getting my spells into play. I think we can definitely take out the full Force, the full 4 swords. One card I might want to look around for is Icefang Codal, which can be pretty annoying, but I think I'm okay to play around it. Judgment's also interesting. If they're playing Intuition, then Surgical can be okay, but I don't think I want to go that low unless I actually see it in this game and get a 3rd game. Hey, King of the North. Very cool to go back and get a 5-0. I think that's one of the best feelings of the deck. Maybe this isn't a matchup for Gideon. I think we can definitely take out Gideon. Questing Beast is still fine because you do have the haste, which is nice. Scooze is an interesting one and probably a card that can come out as well. I don't think this is really a Raminap matchup as well. They only have maybe 2 Trops. Veil is also good versus Intuition, but Soul, very nice. I like that. Of course, Intuition makes your opponent, or you your opponent has to, you target your opponent to choose the card, so Veil does stop Intuition, which is nice. I think this is fine. I could drop down on one more card to bring in the Judgment, but I'm not sure if it's really worth it. I think that Deafening Silence and Force is good enough, hopefully. Everything else I still really just want to have a really good attacking plan as well. I want to make sure that I'm not dropping down on too much power so that I can't close out games quickly. Blaststone's interesting. Maybe Blaststone could come out for Council's Judgment. I don't want to over-sideboard, but I just want to make sure that I always have enough, enough removal at the right time to make sure that if they do, play an Omniscience and pass, then we do have the out of drawing a Council's Judgment to get rid of it. I'm going to say Council's Judgment is probably the card that I don't need to bring in. I could just bring in the other 6, but we'll see how this goes. Unfortunately, this is a no-land hand, and with a no-land hand, we can't cast spells. Just getting that aircon pumping. It's not working. We're gonna mulligan. I don't really want to go to 5, but I don't really want to keep a hand where I have to draw pretty much on my first turn a green source. I mean, a Savannah would be great, but the nice thing about this hand is that if we do draw the land, we actually get to use Sylvan Library, hopefully, to draw back into the game. But I don't think I can keep a hand like this because I want to have at least some sort of plan, and right now the plan is just to draw a card, and I don't want to put the top of my library as the main factor. Okay, keep, and then we're probably just bottoming two lands here. So at least we have some protection, some disruption, and a bit of pressure with Stoneforge. So not the worst hand, but at 5, our opponent obviously can force some of this stuff pretty well. I'm probably not be too afraid of what we actually have. Sylvan Library. I'm definitely going to cast a Sylvan here. Just going to get a another Savannah. This is definitely a card you kind of have to force. Unless they have Spell Pierce, that would be kind of rough. But hopefully here it's a Brainstorm into possibly a force, or just let it slide. Interesting. To be fair as well, I could have attacked for 1 there with Mum. I don't think there's any reason not to. Especially when we don't have any other creatures to actually protect, so... Alright. Well, Thalia stops Cunning Wish plans, but it doesn't stop Emrakul. Alright, so we get a turn, which is nice. I guess we could also draw into Gaea's Cradle and Council's Judgment, which would be kind of nice, but we do need an out here. Rough. I've actually submitted a list without Gadok, which is pretty rough. I don't think it's the be-all end-all, but we can't fetch for it here anyway. I think the play is just to probably pay We lose to Emrakul anyway, so I might as well go below 15. I am fetching anyway, but I think it's worth keeping the Green Suns to make sure that if we do get another turn, we can at least Green Suns for Qasali Pridemage. I think it's definitely a matchup where it doesn't really matter if we're on above or below the threshold of 15. But pretty bad, because our opponent obviously has Cunning Wish. And they can Cunning Wish for shared summons, which is only 2 mana. Or even 3, they can Intuition, Cunning Wish, shared summons. And they just have Cunning Wish, okay. Rough. Yeah, so Shared Summons is a pretty sweet card. Shared Summons allows them to find two different creatures instead of just the normal one with Eldamri's Call. But unfortunately, that will just be game. So a nice quick one. Just not what we wanted to play against. Hey, Chuck Buckle. If you wanted to play green-white, I would probably suggest looking at Achilles 27's lists. He's obviously doing pretty well with the deck. I'll see if I can find it. Here. Put this in chat. At Chuck Buckle. There you go. Yeah, that was pretty rough. Omni's definitely not the greatest matchup for Maverick. They really don't care about a lot of our creatures, and usually our beatdown plan is just a lot slower than their combo plan. Prelate definitely helps. I think Prelate on 3 is really good because it turns off Show and Tell, Cunning Wish, and Omni. Cunning Wish and Intuition. I'm not sure if they actually have an out to Prelate on 3, especially if we have a Mum in play. Apologies, yeah. Without Cradle, I have seen players play with Ancient Tomb, and I played with Ancient Tomb for a fair bit. Ancient Tomb's kind of cool because you can cast things like Zenith for 2 on turn 2, which is really nice. You can cast things like Tireless Tracker or Ramen Up Excavator on turn 2. They can always get to 8, but usually by the time they get to 8 mana, we have beat down for more than 20 life, which is good. But that is definitely an out, hard casting Omni. It's definitely something that has most likely happened before, so that's very true. Rough. Yeah, I really thought that I had a Tegan here, but I obviously put it to the board, and then I thought the one on the board was actually an extra, and took it out. Why no Ancient Tomb in this build? I'm not playing Ancient Tomb in this build because I do have the Cradle. That's the big one. And the other reason is that because I'm not playing Tireless Tracker or Ramen Up in the main deck, I can't use it to its full effectiveness. I'm relying on cards like Mirran Crusader, which are a little bit harder to cast and Prelate with that Ancient Tomb in the deck. I guess Cradle does make it, there's no real difference because Cradle only makes green mana, but yeah, if you have creatures that are like 2 and blue, then it's pretty nice. And Cradle's just so good at what it does when you really need extra mana. I guess we can actually update our score as well. But yeah, Ancient Tomb would be pretty cool. I'm just gonna get some aircon going. I'll be back in 1 second. But yeah, for Omni, if you're playing green-white, you can play something like Oblivion Ring in the sideboard. Oblivion Ring is pretty good. They do have the out for if they play Show and Tell and they put in Omniscience and you put in Oblivion Ring, they can Cunning Wish for disallow straight up and actually stifle the ability of Oblivion Ring. But otherwise, Ring's pretty good. It's probably the best thing to put in for us. Knight of Autumn is another card you could have. Thalia is okay. It doesn't beat the creatures that they can put in off Omniscience, but it does usually stop them from casting more spells like Cunning Witch or Intuition. I also had the option in the game 1 to, if I didn't want the Thalia to be forced, and I knew that it wasn't going to be, and I knew that they had forced, I could put in Scryb Ranger, and then hold the Thalia to put in with the Show and Tell, so that then they couldn't cast the Preordain or Ponder. That's pretty rough. I thought we would have a little bit more game, but the Molder 5 doesn't help, but it wasn't a bad Molder 5. It definitely had a plan, and the Sylvan Library would have been really nice to stick around, but obviously if our opponent has it, they have it, so can't do too much. Interesting. Okay, so Dreadnought was playing against Cloud. So Dreadnought is Jonathan Yannick. I believe he was going to be playing his Bant Maverick Depths list, and I believe XJ is most likely just on Death and Taxes. It could be like Hawk and Taxes. It could be the Red Splash Taxes. Good amount of players, which is nice. 26 is 52. We were the first to go, which is pretty sad. They were pretty quick matches, I guess. I guess I would love to get to the stage where I could Blast Zone a Omniscience or a Grizzlebrand. That'd be pretty sweet. But I haven't got there yet. But looking at the list, I've actually wanted to try out for a while, or go back to it, is Rishadan Port over Wasteland number 4. Just because of the amount of decks around with basics in their lists. It's really nice to actually be able to hurt their mana in some way, and Port of course allows you to actually interact with basic lands, which is nice. And then for the matchups where I want the extra wastelands, we do have Ramanap in the board, which is pretty good. Port isn't the greatest if you're expecting a lot of Eldrazi, because wastelands obviously a lot better against cards like Eye of Ugin, or even something like Yawgmoth. It's obviously not doing too much other than taking them off 1 mana. Hey Jitesh, welcome. We went down in game 1 in pretty quick fashion to blue-green Omniscience, going down to Emrakul in both games, but in the second game it was a shared summons into most likely Emrakul and Grizzlebrand, which is pretty tough. But yeah, this deck should be pretty good. I definitely hedge towards the bug variants right now because of the amount of Abrupt Decay and Okos in the format. I think that Mirran Crusader is pretty well positioned, and I think especially in this deck where we can get it out earlier with Mana Dorks. It's not a card you can find with Green Sun Zenith, so of course I wanted to play more than 1. And I think 2 is kind of the sweet spot. We could also find them with Sylvan Library if we want to be a little bit more aggressive. I think Sylvan Library is really good as well. Even though it can be decayed, it can't be Okoed, which is pretty huge. And a lot of decks are moving towards just a straight bug variant than playing Teferi, so being able to bounce it isn't really an option for them either, which is nice. Other than Brazen Borrower, if they play that, that's a pretty big feel bad if you tap out for a Sylvan Library and they just bounce it. You don't... It's, yeah, it's probably one of the biggest feel bads that I have as of recent. And then the board, I was going to play a crop rotation because I do like crop with Bojuka Bog. And then you can also crop for things like Wasteland, Karakas, Blast Zone if you wish, or Cradle. Bog I always found was a bit slow against the decks that you really wanted it for, like Reanimator. Because on the play, best case, you have a turn 1 Hierarch, a turn 2 Knight, and then turn 3 you have access to Bog, but against most of the decks that you play against where you actually want the effect to exile a graveyard, you want it before then. So that's where cards like Elvish Reclaimer can be good, cards like Crop Rotation can be fantastic. But against a lot of the blue decks, crop rotation can just be a you're down 2 cards and your opponent counters it, and you're left with not too much else, which is pretty tough. Still just us. Okay. Ah, of course. Okay. Because the round time goes up. That's interesting. I was trying to see if I could stack games. Maybe I can play like a friendly here. Just to get some reps with the deck while we go for it. Play me on a shadow. I will. I'll take you up on that between a game. We'll definitely mulligan this. And this is actually a lot better. We'll keep this. Brian MTG. Cool, we're playing first. Okay. I probably want to put back the Cradle. As good as Cradle is, right now it's not really doing a whole lot. Our turns are probably turn 1 Hierarch, turn 2 Sylvan Library, turn 3 Qasali or Ooze. I could lead on the Verdant here to play around Blood Moon to get a forest, but if we get to play the Sylvan Library and hold the Catacombs, I don't really want to be paying 8 for something like Swords to Plowshares if we're up against a combo deck, so I'd rather have the fetch land around for as long as possible to see if we can actually use it with Sylvan Library pretty well. City of Brass. Okay, it looks like Dredge. I guess we can just 6 here, unfortunately. Okay. This is fine. Oh, they might have Street Wraith. If they have Street Wraith, they can... Or Looting. Looting works as well. Hey, Ari, welcome. Hope you're doing okay. Narcomoeba's pretty good. Luckily, they didn't hit anything else that's really that great. They didn't even hit a second Dredger. But then, of course, they can, yeah, discard the Grave Troll. Interesting. So we can eat one of the Dredges, or we can just hold up Scavenging Ooze to eat whatever else comes. And I think that's fine. Probably want to keep Ooze for something like another Narcomoeba trigger. Yeah, I like holding up as well. So they really just hit more Dredges here. Nothing like a bridge. No Icarids. They can Colosseum here, which is pretty good, especially when we only have access to 1 green. So maybe the maybe the Cradle would have been pretty nice to keep here. Yeah, hopefully it's still fine. I guess we'll definitely see here, because this is going to be at least 2 Grave Trolls. Icarid, Bridge. 2 Bridges. Cabal Therapy as well, okay. Let's put this up here. Dread Return, okay. Interesting, so they can even go for a Dread Return, and there's Narcomoeba. Okay. So they're going to target us. I probably want to eat a bridge in response so they can't Cabal Therapy straight away after that. Because if you don't eat the bridge here, they have priority until they can sack the Putrid Imp if they wish, or just another one of their 2/2 zombies. I assume the name is just going to be Swords to Plowshares. I don't think there's really a card that you care about otherwise. Because the Scooze is already in play. Green Suns, okay, interesting. Maybe they're naming Green Suns if they think that we have like Knight for Bog as an out to slowing down their graveyard. So the big targets here that are still left are Bridge, probably Dread Return, and probably start going after their Icarids. I probably don't mind if they take the swords either by sacking their Putrid Imp, because I probably just want to use my mana effectively for Scavenging Ooze. Unless I draw into Plains, then swords is a little bit more appealing, but otherwise I think Scooze is just the best use for my mana. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good that's a pretty good tactic as well, just going after their mana as much as I can. Or at least the creatures that come into play, so Icarids, Bridges. Taking Sylvan Library, interesting. I don't think I'm going to tap out for Sylvan Library. I'm not going to use 2 mana to tap out for Sylvan Library. And it's going to take me a turn, and I think I'm also not going to be able to be very effective with it, because they're going to have a pretty fast clock with these zombies. I really just want to be drawing green sources. Wasteland's interesting. One thing that Wasteland is nice for me is that I can Wasteland my own Dryad Arbor to turn off Bridges. Yeah, I think the only thing I play in these games is going to be literally just going for mana. I like holding back Screws because it can just make it a 3/3 here. So there's 2 Icarids in the bin. I don't mind going for Icarid Bridge. Or just Icarid and then see what they draw. The one nice thing as well is that once the Scavenging Ooze is a 4/4, I don't really care about the other Icarids because I can just block them. I think I'm okay with just holding up 1 green mana during their turn. Most likely for Dread, but hitting another Bridge might be... I think the card I'm actually looking to hit is probably the 1 Narcomoeba that might come off the next one. Because then the Bridges aren't as scary. So these will fizzle, which is nice. They go to Dredge. And Narcomoeba, okay. So there's a great hit. I wonder if it's worth wastelanding here on the city to turn them off something like Faithless Looting, but I don't think it's actually... I'd probably rather just keep the wasteland for myself, because if I hit Dryad Arbor or Green Suns, I can Green Suns for Dryad Arbor. I think if I get a Green Suns, I'm probably just going for Scryb Ranger, because over time I can get more green mana out of it. Yeah, it's fair enough. I could wasteland him. He only has 2 cards in hand, so if he does have land and two mana creature, then wasteland here does seem pretty nice. 5 matches still in progress. No great attacks for my opponent either. So now it's really just hopefully draw into green mana and pass back the turn. Port. Haha, okay. I could even start racing my opponent, and I think that's probably correct to start attacking here. Hey, Julian, a huge thank you for the raid. We are currently in the middle of the prelim, so we're playing just a quick game against Dredge while we wait. There are 5 matches left, so hopefully that finishes up pretty soon. How'd you go with Enchantress? Nakamiva, nice. $3-2, nice. That's cool. I don't have an Australian flag, but I think I could make one out of this. Yeah, it's fair enough. Pretty close to it, I have to say. Just a pass back, okay. We'll go for Icarid here. And most likely just eat another creature. I could go for Dread Return if I really wish. Just in case something goes really wrong. I don't think... They're most likely just blocking Screws from here on out, so I think going for non-creature spells doesn't really mind. Or really matter, so I'm just going to go for some of the cards that actually win them the game. Another Noble's interesting. Definitely just attack first. I'm playing Port as a way to try to hit the mana of a lot of the decks that are playing basics in the format right now. So I'm only playing the 3 Wastelands and a Port, and then playing a Ramanap in the sideboard for the matchups where I really want the 4th Wasteland. But Port allows me to disrupt an opponent's mana that otherwise isn't the greatest. Have they already taken the damage? They have. Okay, I should have eaten in response. But yeah, Port's done some pretty good work recently. So hopefully it does okay in this prelim as well. I think I'm happy playing the 2nd Hierarch. I think just having the 2 mana up is fine. There's only one more Nakamiba left anyway. Hogak. Okay, well Hogak's definitely been eaten now. Ox is also interesting, but you need double red. One funny interaction with Rishadan Port as well is that with City of Brass, whenever you tap it down, it actually pings them. So I could win this game without actually attacking if they do just play a City and pass, but looks like they're not going to. Probably should have eaten Icarid there. Thalia is pretty nice because without mana, it actually turns off a lot of their non-creature spells, of course. Happy to attack, and then we just have to win next turn if we swords 1 zombie. And then hopefully we're back in the prelim. Alright, so upkeep Icarid triggers. We can eat that Icarid. Pretty amazing how much Screws has done this game. Screws has literally just kept the whole deck at bay. I guess we could have played Qasali Pridemage as well, and then just had lethal either way without the swords, but then we wouldn't have green mana up, so... Turnabout on, yeah, turnabout there seems very cool. Nice. Alright, maybe we can win the second game before the prelim starts off. Surgical seems great. Tormont seems great. Bog seems great. Force is interesting. Force is pretty good if they have the Silent Gravestone, but I think I'm okay with them just having that. Prelate's pretty nice on 3. It turns off Dread Return, but otherwise... Yeah, Path is pretty good as well. I don't mind Path. Stoneforge Mystic package is okay. Thalia is okay. Mum's okay. I might take out... Pre-Lamb? Apologies, I mean to say prelim. Dredge is an interesting one. I haven't played it in a while, so I'm not too sure what I take out. I think that Gideon can definitely come out. Green Suns is still nice as a 4-of because I want to find Scavenging Ooze pretty quickly. Thalia is still okay because it just stops a lot of their stuff unless they have the mana for it. I'm not. I'm literally just using a big... How can I show it? Ah, okay. Let's go to this. It's literally just a big... Like a big... Yeah, like a big sheet. I wanted to get a Elgato one, but this was pretty sweet. Either way. Yeah, it's very old school, but it works pretty well, so I can't be too unhappy with it. Thank you very much. I get to say mouse? Very cool. Very cool. I got a cool cap as well, but it's not here. It says Maverick. But either way, we should be sideboarding here. Probably Sylvan Library on the draw isn't the greatest. Questing Beast is great, Knight is great, especially with Bog in the deck. Mirran's pretty nice at getting through all their threats. Maybe it's Prelate. Maybe Prelate just there's too many to actually name. Dread is 4? Okay. That makes a lot of sense. It's just 3 creatures that I think about. I think the amount of creatures we have is okay. I think it's just going to be a Port here. I think Port can come out and then we can play with this. Prelim is 4 matches left. Okay. This is an interesting one. I don't want to keep it because I just can't really do anything outside of Surgical. I'd rather at least have some sort of plan. If this was just a 1-lander and there was a forest, I'd be okay, but it's a hand where if I can Surgical, but I can't really do anything else unless I draw into land, but I don't want to keep it up to that. The floating headstream would be kind of cool. Alright, let's mulligan this. And this is actually a lot better. We'll keep this, and I might just bottom the Blast Zone. We have a bit of interaction in Path to Exile, Graveyard Hate, and Surgical. We have 2 Mana Dorks, which is nice. The one thing about Canopy that we can't do is pick it up with Scryb Ranger, but I think we'll be green sunning for Scavenging Ooze anyway. But it could be pretty tough. I'm not using spotlights. I just changed the filter within my within OBS Streamlabs. But I do have some lights against the wall that if I turn off, it does make me a bit darker. And then I have one above me, which I have a foot pedal for, which is kind of cool. Looting's gonna be fine. But yeah, I do like your setup, Julian, a lot, especially with the greens in the backyard. LED, interesting. I wonder if they crack it here. They don't. Okay. Maybe then I should be hitting the Golgari Grave Troll in upkeep. Yeah, greens make an apartment so much better. Even just a room, the amount of work just a plant can do is pretty amazing in making it just such a nicer place, which is especially relevant now. I think upkeep we just Surgical. I could keep the Surgical if I wanted for some of the cards that I really care about, like Dread Return, Probably Narcomoeba or Icarid, maybe Bridge. But I think hitting their only Golgari here is fine. Maybe not. Maybe because they have the looting, they're most likely going to hit a Dredger anyway. So I think I'm happy just letting this slide and seeing what they actually go for. Because if I can hit something like... Well, nothing here is really relevant. I think I'd rather keep the Surgical for a relevant spell. Interesting. So what we could do here, I guess they can activate the this in response. I could try to hit the Golgari Grave Troll, but I believe if I do that with Surgical, they can respond with activating Colosseum. How are your results tonight? So we have currently only gone through one round, and we lost to blue-green OmniTell. They could also have Street Wraith. That's a great call. A player of Ajax Amsterdam fell into a coma almost 3 years ago. He just woke up. Oh, wow. Okay, that's very cool. But it's very weird to see how they would react to today's society. And, of course, the issue right now. Huh. No cards in hand. But now they can Colosseum. This is going to be fine. There's Narcomoebas. Okay, so Narcomoebas are pretty nice to hit here. Surgical, Narcomoeba, Pay Life. One, two, three, and then one in the deck. We'll see if they brought in anything. Probably just the Serenity. The new sounds on MTGO are kind of weird, but I don't mind them. But yeah, our game against OmniTell was pretty rough. They got a pretty quick Omniscience, and then they preordained and pondered into Emrakul in game 1. And then game 2 we mulled to 5, but it wasn't too bad. It was 2 lands, Mum, Thalia, Stoneforge. But they had the turn 2 Show and Tell into Omniscience. But we had Thalia, but then they were able to just untap and Cunning Wish for shared summonings for both Grizzlebrand and Emrakul. So, a little bit rough. Green Suns. I probably want to go for Scooze. I kind of also want to go for Scryb Ranger, just to get as much mana as possible, but I think just going for Scryb Ranger here is good. Yeah, that's pretty interesting as well, going to get Dryad Arbor. I guess the issue is that they're most likely Cabal Theraping us with their Icarid, but we could... They have 2 Icarids. We can't deal with both. Sadly, because they have both, I don't think the Pathline really works. And seeing that they named in the blind Green Sun Zenith last turn, I think I'm happy actually just tapping out for Scavenging Ooze, getting it on the board. Ah, okay, so interesting. So if we play Scavenging Ooze as a 2/2, they can get back both Icarids. They could cast Hogak, or they could also just sack them to Cabal Therapy straight away to trigger bridges and then Dread Return back Elishnorn to actually just kill the Scooze. So there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way. They can also kill Mana Dorks. What else do I have at 2? Qasali Pridemage doesn't do a whole lot. Sadly, we put together the deck, and we had Gaddock Teeg out, and then we took Gaddock Teeg out, and I forgot to put it back in, so we don't have Gaddock Teeg, unfortunately. Which should be in the 75, at least somewhere. I had it in the sideboard, and then I thought it was a spare one in the sideboard, so I dropped it and then submitted the deck list. Classic no Teeg Maverick. But I do also have the option of Scryb Ranger. Scryb Ranger, untap Noble, but we don't have a land to return either. This is a tough one, and I don't want to take too much time either. I think I'm happy with Bird Pass, sadly. I guess we can Green Suns here as well for Dryad Arbor, because if they go for Elishnorn, we have the Path to Exile. But they can just... I don't think we're winning that game. We just can't win. Because no matter what, they definitely have multiple ways to Cabal us and then play the Elishnorn without us really caring. Yeah, especially with the bridges in play as well. It's pretty tough. Yeah, sadly that does. And then Green Sun's Fatigue also turns off the second Green Suns, which is a little bit annoying. But it does stop the Dread return, which is nice. Alright, 2 matches left in the prelim, which is kind of nice. Yeah, 3 bridges is pretty rough. But we do have Tormod's Crypt, which is nice. Surgical's pretty nice. It might have even been correct. Instead of hitting the Narcomoebas, I could have hit the bridges, which means they could still use Cabal Therapy effectively, but they couldn't get the 2/2 zombies out. So maybe they're hitting the bridges was actually correct over the Narcomoebas. Rough times. Rough times. 2 matches in progress. Still Dreadnought. Pretty sure the rounds are only 50 minutes as well, so it's coming up to 49 minutes, 39 seconds. Veil's interesting as well. Veil there would have been kind of nice to protect us from Cabal Therapy. Alright, we'll play first. This is an interesting one. I think it's sadly a little bit too slow, because these 2 lands are pretty much doing nothing turn 1. We can go for Skoos, but I think I'd rather have just a little bit more interaction in my hand. I guess we can Questing Beast out turn 3. If we go turn 1 Noble, turn 2 Cradle into Skoos, turn 3 we can play Dryad Arbor and then play Questing Beast. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to see how it goes. I probably would rather mulligan in a competitive REL game to something like Surgical or Tormod's Crypt, but I think this is okay because the Questing Beast is just so good against them. None of their creatures can really block outside of anything coming back from the graveyard. Hey, thank you very much. I also don't mind my accent. Just going to get a Savannah here so we have access to white mana, play Noble and pass. Oh, actually, next turn we get to play the Mum and then play Cradle and get a free... Pretty much Mum's free because of the Cradle, which is nice. LED, okay. I wonder if they run Careful Study. Double LED, okay. Breakthrough, rough. Alright. This is happening. Three red floating, but no... Interesting, no Faithless Looting? Okay, they do. Ah, of course, because they can, yeah, okay, that makes sense. Oof, okay, double Narcomoeba. Bridge, Cabal. Yeah, this is looking pretty rough. This is looking pretty bad. I do like Ox in these new decks. Ox seems really sweet. This is definitely where Dredge just has like a field day because we don't really have any interaction. They've hit a third Narcomoeba, which means they can actually just decimate our hand, get triggers from bridges. They don't have a they don't have a Hogak yet, but I don't think that it really matters because of the zombies. I think sadly this is just a loss in our books. But at least there's only one match left in the prelim between Beeve and Steve MLP. Gotta respect the Dredge, yeah, 100%. I think Dredge is a really cool deck. And obviously a deck that if you don't respect, will stomp you, like this turn 1 from my opponent, where they have at least 12 power on the board on turn 1. Yeah, I definitely like 4 Leyline as well. I think Leyline's really nice because it turns off the whole graveyard as a resource for your opponent. And also means that it gives you the time to set up while they find an answer for Leyline, and then they can start doing things, but usually by then you do have a bit of a board that also creates a bit of disruption. So Leyline's really nice. They can also Faithless Looting back again this turn, which is pretty insane. They're so close to just lethal next turn, especially if they hit their 4th Narcomoeba with this Faithless Looting. They could just get us on turn 2. Do they hit it? I think we're dead as well, unfortunately. They haven't hit it yet. Oh, they do play Stolen Gravestone, okay. Ah, but now they have Hogak. Okay, so Hogak can just... Hogak's pretty sweet. Only one, though. Do they have a way to sack it? I guess they can Dread return it. That's pretty cool. Sadly, we don't have a way to get through all these zombies. A legit turn 1, yeah, very cool to see. One match left. Oh, there we go, round 2, alright. We'll lose our 20 pay points, but we will get to... Prelim. Alright, a minute and 40. For those of you who came in late, I'm playing a pretty different list, but I definitely don't mind it. We're playing things like... Rishadan Port over the Wasteland number 4 to interact with basic lands. We're playing Sanctum Prelate over Thalia number 4, just as another piece of disruption. Mirran Crusaders in the main deck, just because I think that Bug's going to be pretty popular in this prelim. Hopefully. We haven't seen it too much so far, but we have only seen one deck, of course. I do really like the addition of a main deck Planeswalker, and I think Gideon's pretty good right now with the amount of Plague Engineers going around. It's also pretty good against Oko, because it's pretty hard to interact with. Tiger's Jaw X, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? To the board, I am playing a breakup of Graveyard Hate, where I do think Leyline is probably better. But I just wanted to see how this goes today, just to see if there has been a sway back to some of these other pieces of Graveyard Hate, which should be pretty interesting. I think that Maverick as just a green-white deck is really consistent, and I think that's a great reason to play it. Sometimes when you're playing black, you can just get caught out where you don't have the black mana available, or your opponent wastelands it pretty aggressively. Green-white does really good. I know Julian's a massive fan of green-white, and has some really good results with it. If you want to see some really good green-white magic, you should watch the Legacy... Oh my gosh. Julian, I forgot the name of your... On the play, okay, gets Marty. Definitely play first. Legacy Premier League. You should check out the Legacy Premier League and have a look at some of Julian's games on the deck. This is an interesting hand. It doesn't really do anything. We have a turn 1 mum, but no sort of pressure. And if we're up against a combo deck, then these Swords to Plowshares aren't doing too much either. The double up could be nice against something like Delver, but otherwise, I think I'm pretty happy to ship this hand to hopefully just a better 6. Maybe something with Green Suns, Sylvan Library, just a little bit more flexibility around what we can do with our hand, and also just a little bit more of a pressure. So I'm going to mulligan this, and sadly I'm going to go to 5 here because I'm not going to keep a no-lander. Okay, we'll keep this. I'm going to bottom 1 plains. I'm probably going to get just a forest with this, so I'm going to bottom this port. And then keep Thalia, Sylvan, Sword, 2 land. I'm going to lead on the plains so we can hold up Swords to Plowshares. But then most likely next turn just play Sylvan Library. If this is a Delver deck, I'd be pretty unhappy. Plains, okay. Aether Vial. Okay, pretty nice start from them. Because our swords isn't the greatest right now. I might keep the fetch for now. Play the forest. It means that if they play port, then at least we have 1 mana back. We can go get a Savannah and just grab whatever mana they actually try to tap down. But I could see myself getting pretty aggressive with this Sylvan Library here. Jide, okay. Stoneforge. I think here I'm actually just going to pay 8. I'll definitely pay for the mum. The small issue is that I want to try to keep up Swords to Plowshares here in case they have a Mother of Runes, because otherwise the mum's going to be pretty hard to deal with. So I think I might pay 8 and then just play the Windswept Heath, because if they play a mum, I want to go and get probably Savannah and swords it. And if they don't, we then have the Windswept Heath around to maybe get a Savannah. So pretty happy to go down here. Play the mum, play the noble, hold up swords. One thing I like to do with Death and Taxes is just always activate Aether Vial. Swords on mum. Unfortunately, that's going to be okay. Karakas means this Thalia is kind of dead right now. What I could have done there, because my opponent played the land late, I could have swords the Stoneforge in response to the Swords to Plowshares if I thought they had Batterskull as well. There's fresh cards on top, so I'm happy just to not fetch there. Green Suns is nice because we can Green Suns for Qasali Pridemage. So I'm going to put this back. I probably want to pay for the extra, because I also want to hold up swords. Because this turn I want a Green Suns for Qasali Pridemage, blow it up on Aether Vial, and also hold up Swords to Plowshares for the Stoneforge Mystic. The issue is that if they have Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, then this all goes out, because If they put in Thalia, I then only have 1 mana for swords, but if I swords in response to the Aether Vial trigger, then they can put in Jide, then put in Thalia, and then attack with it next turn. But I think sadly that's my only out. I guess I can also just Qasali Pridemage and upkeep, which isn't too bad. Interesting. I'm not sure why they're doing this, because if they're playing around Collector Ouphe, they don't need to do this. This is really just giving me more information about what they have in hand. Unless they want to do something like put something in and then put something in with Vial. Hey, Alex, welcome to the stream. I will try to play it to the best of my ability for you. But usually this is a pretty interesting matchup. Interesting. Okay, that's fine. Now I'm happy to pass. So if they put in Thalia, then it's really bad. But if not, now I'm happy to actually just go after their Vial. If I let them to get up to 3, they can Flicker Wisp it out, which would be pretty bad. If they have a 4th land here, I like them putting the Jide on Stoneforge and attacking with 2 threats, because I am at 8, which is pretty rough, so... Interesting. Maybe they have Palace Jailer. Sadly, I kind of have to swords this. They've already played a land for turn, so I don't mind getting Savannah here. Although I could play it safe and get planes. I think I'd probably rather play it safe and just have the mana around and make them have Rishadan Port. The real crappy part about that is that I'm trading a card for a germ. And now they can Flicker Wisp the Batterskull, yeah. So if they have another land, they just win in the air. Screws isn't the worst, because I can make it a 3-powered card. Let's go put on top, put on top. I can play out Screws and not lose to Flicker Wisp in the air because we can gain 1. Yeah, unfortunately Jide is just going to push us over a little bit more. Pretty tough. I do like the Force of Vigors, I do like the extra part to exile, I don't mind the Council's Judgment. I definitely like taking out the Thalias and the Prelate. Questing Beast is interesting because it is pretty good, but if they have Karakas, then it might just be a little bit of a no-bo. Mirran's nice because of the double strike. It also gets through the Batterskull Germ. Blast Zone's pretty good as well. I really like Sylvan Library in this matchup. Maybe I was too aggressive with it that turn, or that game, because I kind of felt like I had to be. Yeah, I think QB is pretty good. I'm just trying to think of that 61st card. Hextrig is also pretty insane, but if they have Flicker Wisp, they can just flicker it, unless we get it all the way up, which is interesting. Yeah, I think maybe a single Crusader. I think that is as good as Crusader is. Maybe it's just a one-off for here. I think that's pretty good. I could play Reminat, but if they play Rest in Peace, then it's not doing too much. Unless they bought into Oko. Yeah, that's something that I have to look out for as well. Rough. Alright, we would love to play first. This is a rough hand. The double equipment is pretty bad. I think I'm happy to mulligan this. I don't want to go... I don't really want to play the Qasali Pridemage out on turn 2 into something like a Swords to Plowshares. It's kind of a 3-drop in this matchup. This is pretty much a 6. And if we get Wastelanded off the Savannah early on, it's pretty rough as well. With this hand, I'm kind of hoping I just draw into a fetch land or forest, and that's not really where I want to be against Death and Taxes. I think I'd rather have a hand of like Mother of Runes or Noble Hierarch, something to really start the pressure on turn 1, so I'm going to mulligan this. Ugh. This isn't great either, but at least we can cast everything that we draw into, and we have some removal to interact in the early games. I think we have to keep this and probably bottom the Dryad. Probably just going to start on the Windswept Heath because it can fetch a basic plains, which is nice. Minecraft noise? Might be the music. So I really hope here they start off on Mum and not Aether Vial. Or just nothing. Interesting. Cradle's a pretty bad draw, let's be honest. This is a really weird start from both teams. They kept a hand with no turn 1 or turn 2 play? Surely. Wow. Qasali is interesting. I think the best way to beat Palace Jailer is most likely going to be fetch up for Dryad, swords your blocker, and then swing in with Dryad. So I think here I'm happy just to fetch up a basic and play out Qasali. Although I'm playing it into Swords to Plowshares, and I'm playing it on a board where it isn't relevant, I really just want to apply some sort of pressure. And at least with this, I can attack for 3. No removal either. Okay. That's interesting. Mum's fine. Wasteland's fine. Okay. Just want to get a basic here and get rid of this Mother of Runes. Catacombs. At least Catacombs is Dryad Arbor. Maybe I want to get Dryad Arbor in my end step because at least it taps for 2 mana with Cradle. Recruiter's fine. Probably getting either Flickwisp or Jailer. So I don't mind getting Dryad Arbor here. I guess if I get Dryad Arbor and I draw into a double white spell, I can't cast it. I think that's okay, because I most likely want to keep up the path for the Recruiter in response to the Flicker Wisp trigger anyway. So 1 white right now is kind of just on my game plan anyway. Okay, well that doesn't really matter. I actually think Wasteland here isn't too bad. Any chance to Wasteland my D&T opponent is pretty good. But the path kind of fixes that, but at least I make them have to have the 3rd land. See what they target. Alright. Just can't catch a break. I think I'm okay happy trading the Arbor here. If they have the Palace Jailer, the Arbor isn't doing too much either, just as a 1-mana spell. I think Gideon's probably my best draw here. Noble doesn't really do anything. I could have also ticked up the Blast Zone. Yep. Rough. Yeah, just way too much value, unfortunately. Rough. Nothing. But at least in the meantime, we can play some of these 2-player queues. That's tough. I mean, we kept a 6-lander to try to draw into some more threats, but just couldn't get there, unfortunately. Which is, you know, that's definitely a reason why Legacy decks definitely love Ponder and Brainstorm, because you can try to dig yourself into threats or into a bit more of a plan. But yeah, there I wasn't happy to go to 5, and I was pretty happy to try to keep what I get. That was actually the 2nd prelim match. The first one was against blue-green OmniTell. Rough. I guess, like, maybe the attack... It's rough, because if we don't attack with the, Dryad Arbor, they still take a creature, but at least we can attack with an Exalted Noble Hierarch, but then they still have the Flicker Wisp or Palace Jailer to block with. But yeah, sadly just a really no action kind of game there. But hopefully we can find one in the meantime. I've never played Minecraft. It looks pretty sweet. It looks like it has... You can get, like, it feels like a game you can get lost in pretty easily. Massive fan of Lego here as well, so I think Minecraft would be pretty much easily up my alley. I think I don't want to get lost in it though, because if you play it, it seems like Minecraft is a game that if you play it, you're gonna put a few hours into it, and by a few hours I mean a few hours. But yeah, rough. I think that Maverick has a pretty good game against Death and Taxes. Unfortunately, there we just didn't have the... We brought in, you know, a lot of cards like Force of Vigor and Collector Ouphe, and even if we had them there, it would have been a start that it didn't really matter. They didn't have Vial, they didn't have equipment. They played a creature on turn 3. We played a creature on turn 3. It's just one of those kind of weird games that sometimes happens. Yeah, that's very cool. I like that. I love seeing all the like monuments and buildings and structures that people build over like the course of like months or maybe even years on Minecraft, and just put so much detail into it. Very cool. Man, no one wants to play. Basic Swamps, I'm looking at you. You just won round 2? Very cool. Tiger's Jaw, very cool. What sort of Maverick are you playing? Green white, black, Bant, Punishing, 4-color. What have you played against as well? Playing green white, very nice. That's awesome. Nice. Hogak can be pretty devastating. Are you running a Leyline in the board? Leyline's definitely my choice against Hogak because you really just want to turn off their whole graveyard. Surgical sometimes just isn't enough, which is pretty rough. Even something like Tormund's Crypt can be pretty slow. Nice. Where are you from, Tiger? Leyline, Charles, and Prelate. Very nice. Hey, Basic Swamp. Alright. Okay. So we are on the draw against what I assume Basic is on Blue Black Shadow. And I think this hand is fine. It's got a lot of good hate bears in it. Prelate on 1 is pretty good against Shadow. Thali really slows me down. Jide is a nice way to deal with a Delver if we don't have a great start. If we don't draw into any sort of actual removal like Swords to Plowshares, then Jide can get there. Alright. I'm just going to go for Basic here into Green Suns. Because I assume they're not on a Bolt deck, I don't mind not going for Windswept Heath early on. Bug Zenith looks really fun. That is fine. I think I'm happy for the Dryad Arbor to get dazed because we do have mana for a long time, and it probably means that Thalia or Prelate isn't being dazed, which is kind of nice. No flip is pretty nice for us as well, but the daze does mean Water Grave gets to do an extra 2, and double Delver is going to be pretty tough to beat. I could play Noble there to play around daze, but I don't think I'm in a position there. I kind of just have to race out some sort of hate. No flips again is pretty nice. Thoughtseize taking Jide here is probably the correct call. Jide is my only answer for Delver right now, and they can probably counter the other stuff. Swords. Interesting. So I think here I'm happy to go Windswept Heath. In best case, we can trade Dryad Arbor for a Delver. We can definitely Swords a Delver here and then just play the Hierarch. Still no flip, okay. Another Delver. Ha! Okay. I wonder if they'll even attack here. They will, okay. Well, if they have Fatal Push, they have Fatal Push. But if not, we get to trade for Delver, which is nice. Alright. Now, I definitely like Prelate here on 1. Haha, okay.
I think because I'm naming one, I just want to Swords the Delver now. Not play around the third days and just cast Prelate here for one. Nice. So this stops any sort of Thoughtseize, Brainstorm, Fatal Push. It doesn't stop things like Death Shadow, of course. Gomag. Okay, Gomag's gonna be fine. Birds. Pass. Yeah, you never know. I mean, Gomag into like Street Wraith, into like Death Shadow can definitely start them and get them going. And I'm in a weird spot where I don't really want to attack them because I don't want to put Death Shadow on the board. Plains. We're not really doing anything if we don't attack though. So we can just hope they don't have a Death Shadow. They've already drawn into 3 Delvers, so I don't think they're going to draw into a Death Shadow as well. I'm going to keep this in hand. Brazen. Rough. No blocks. Mirran would be really nice here. No land for my opponent either. Scooze. Scooze is pretty nice. I'm going to go for only 1/2 creatures. Prelate on 1. Hey, Bradshaw, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Force is fine, because it does give us another creature for Scooze, which can make it a 5/5, which actually blocks the Gomag. Rough. I guess we definitely eat something. Probably just the Prelate. So now they also have Brazen Borrower in the air. Ooh. This is interesting. The Brazen Borrower is coming down this turn, so I have to block with birds. Batterskull's the only card left anyway, so that makes it pretty easy. But pretty late as well. Oh, very cool. Nice. Yeah, that was a sweet game. It was very cool to see Dredge go off on turn 1. We kept a pretty lackluster hand, but it did its work. Attack with everything. Surely you attack with both. There's no reason not to, because they're both lethal threats. We have to block one of them. Block like this. Our only out is drawing into Scryb Ranger. Yeah. Rough. So this is an interesting one. I don't mind Council's Judgment, especially if they're playing True Name Nemesis, but also just for 1v1 on their creatures. I don't mind Path to Exile. That's probably it. What I don't like... Pridemage. They might have Bitter Blossom, but I don't mind Council's Judgment for that, and also just Questing Beast over them. Gideon's pretty nice because of Plague Engineer. Blaststone seems really good. Port, I can probably drop down on. Knights are still great, Mirrans are still great, Prelate's still great. Thalia is still pretty good, especially on the play. I still like my nobles. I could go down on 1 because I'm on the play as well. Mums are great. The Stoneforge Mystic package is fine. Sylvan Library I might chop down on, just 1. I think this is fine. The Veils can be really nice against the hand disruption as well. Hexdrink is an interesting one, but I don't think I want to be there. Also, Ramanap's pretty nice against their mana base. I might try to squeeze in a Ramanap. And maybe just go down on 1 Thalia. Thalia is just so good though. Maybe it's Scavenging Ooze. I think it's Ooze. Ooze can become a pretty big creature late game, but if they're exiling their graveyards to Gomags, then it's probably not doing the best job. This isn't the greatest hand. We can probably Zenith for Arbor turn 1, and then hold up Swords to Plowshares. But then we don't have anything on turn 2 other than Horizon Canopy. I think I'm happy to mull once into like a hand with some sort of turn 1 play other than Green Suns for Dryad Arbor. Okay, this is fine. Probably happy to keep this and bottom the Knight. Now the question is, do I go for a basic here? I think I do, just because of my hand right now. It's pretty much Death and Taxes. And I don't want to be wastelanded off from the early game, because I'm going to lose this game if I can't cast my spells, so... What this hand does die to is just Plague Engineer, which is pretty rough. Okay. I think here I'm happy just to Swords and play around Days. And then just pass back. I guess I shouldn't 5 because they could have Snuff Out. Alright, now I kind of hope to draw a land because I don't want to play this Thalia. Jide. Interesting. So if I play Thalia out here and they play Plague Engineer, it's obviously pretty bad. And then if I don't draw a 3rd land, I can't cast either of these. So I might just go with the Jide here. Alright. Nice. Land? Ugh. Happy to Swords here instead of Stoneforge, because if they hit us with Hand Disruption, Force is pretty bad. Then we don't have a great way to get rid of the Engineer. At least the Stoneforge we can draw into more. Just gonna get Batterskull. It makes the Stoneforge so much more of a threat. They could have Brazen Borrower as well for the Batterskull token. Or the Batterskull itself. That's fine. Ponder, okay. Maybe they're trying to find Fatal Push? Alright. Rough. Nice. Rough. Just couldn't draw into that that third land for a little while there. But hopefully... Three matches left. Winged Husker, Orient, Duck Wanty. We'll be streaming for another 3 rounds. So there's only been 2 rounds so far of the prelim, and we'll see how we go after that. Hopefully bouncing back from these 2 first losses, because they have been pretty brutal. But, yeah, it would be nice to finish on a high, and a 3-2 at least. I believe you get your play points back, which is kind of cool. Just haven't really been able to capitalize on anything. Which is pretty tough, but that is Magic sometimes. We've had some pretty good runs over the past few weeks, so variance does sometimes just catch up to you. Interesting to see who's playing in this. We saw that Callum's place playing, there's White Faces. He's in the O2 bracket, which is actually pretty interesting. Dina Solva, very cool. Yeah, that was pretty funny. Lord Beerus, I believe, we've played against before. What time will I finish? I'm going to assume 12:30. I'll probably give each of these an hour, because I assume they will all go for their full amount of time in the round, so that'll be for another 3 hours. Could probably do with more removal in the board for some of the fair matchups. Council Judgment is pretty nice, but Trinium Nemesis has seen a bit of a downtick, especially with Plague Engineer in the format. So maybe the Judgment isn't worth it, and it's worth it just to have another Sunlands or Path to Exile effect as 1 mana. Even Dismember wouldn't be the worst. But we'll see how that goes. I'm going to quickly get a drink of water. I'll be back in a second. Nice. Hope everyone is doing well with the virus around. Pretty surreal times right now. A lot of obviously a lot of people in worse conditions than myself. So to any of you in chat, if you or your family or friends are experiencing that, then all the best to you guys. Big shout out to LGSs as well. Local game stores would be taking it pretty hard right now, so whatever you can do. I think like right now is a great time to buy a board game and play it with whoever you live with. So it's a pretty good way to support your LGS if they're still open. I know a lot of play areas are closed, but it's weird that eggs are a thing that get sold out so quickly. Even here in Australia, they get sold out really fast, but they're perishable. They go off in like a week. I don't know how people are buying like these, 3 to 4 packs of eggs. What are you doing? Are you freezing egg? I just don't understand it. Yeah, it's nuts. Even the whole toilet paper thing. Like, surely you know how much toilet paper you use. You don't need to go out and buy 6 24 packs of toilet paper and then get angry when people look at you weird. Like, it's just like, go buy your 1 pack of toilet paper. It's going to be fine. It's going to last you for as long as you want. Good time to invest in Bordeaux companies? Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah. I do like that. Yeah, pretty nuts. Even like, I know that WeWork had been in the media a lot end of last year, start of this year. But even for like shared workspaces, they're going to be pretty bad right now. Why did we see 3 packs of rolls in your room before when you pan the camera around, huh? Do we have? I don't think I have any. Dame, are you trying to set me up? Because I have none in here. Ah, interesting. I'm actually not sure. I think eggs go off in 2 weeks, surely. Maybe a little bit longer. But for the people who are buying eggs in bulk, are surely buying them not to use them within that period of time. I think they believe that they're going to last a lot longer than they actually do. That's the point that I was trying to make. Egg smoothies? That sounds disgusting. That reminds me of the scene in Napoleon Dynamite where he's having like the egg. He's just putting the eggs in the cup and drinking them. Hey, Pokemonkey, very cool. What was the card? I sent out a few cards, so I don't actually know what cards were per user. So apologies for that. You can freeze egg whites? Interesting. Ah, Redback Scryland, very cool. Nice. A multi-format land there, very cool. You can freeze egg whites. I do see on like the subreddit for food prep, I see people who do. Hey, Dollarhan, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Oh, here's round 3. Hopefully we can bounce back. I see a lot of people who food prep like breakfast wraps with bacon and egg, but I'm not sure how good they taste if you're doing 40 at a time and then that 40th one you grab out of the freezer. Is it still pretty good? Does bacon and egg freeze okay in like a wrap? Or is it kind of like taking the downside of the taste with the upside of just being prepared? Interesting. Okay. Slightly soggy. Okay. Turn the aircon down. Play Greenlight Value Town in Modern. Very cool. Sandwich press to get rid of the water. Interesting. Damo Faulkner with the dad facts. I like it. Huh. I nearly have Bug in Vintage put together, so I want to find some guys to play Vintage once this whole, just like a few games of casual Vintage once this whole pandemic is over, because it would be very cool to catch up with some of you guys. Hopefully you still have some of your cards. I'm sure with the family on board you've definitely dropped a lot of your cards, but otherwise. Paper towel, nice. That's pretty cool.
Alright, 10 seconds. Hopefully on the play, hopefully a turn 1 mana dork, and hopefully turn 2 knight. They're the 3 things I ask for. The 3 things. Hey, Mangork, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what you play in Legacy. Good luck to my opponent. In we go for round 3. Roger Steady on the draw. Okay. Well, that's 1 down. We have a mana dork, but we don't have a land. Rough. This isn't great either. I'm not going to 6, so I'm definitely keeping this and just dropping 1 mum. I could also drop the Beast if I want, because I can find it with Green Sun Zenith, and Gideon is pretty much the same type of threat. Maybe double mum is good, but I might drop the Beast here. You were saying Infect? Okay. Is that just like Simic Infect, or have you tried the White Splash? Is the White Splash even worth it in Legacy? Once. Okay. Interesting. Ancient Tomb. Alright. I guess, like, Ancient Tomb into Chalice would be pretty bad for us. Even though this is most likely going to be a bad matchup for Mum anyway. I just want to get it on the board. Grim. Okay. Just as scary. LED. Okay. This looks like a Khan deck. Grindstone Painter? Is that just it? Did we just get turn 1? Ah, classic. Classic. That's fair. You know what? As painful and as much as it sucks to lose to Painter on turn 1, this is very cool. This is very cool to see. I mean, to see it turn 1 is very cool. So very, very cool for my opponent. My thought when the Grim Monolith came down was like, okay, at least we have time to Green Suns for Qasali Pridemage. Nope, 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 nothing, nothing. Alright, at least we know what we're up against. I like Force. I like Ramanap. I like Collector Ouphe. Gideon can go out. Questing Beast can most likely come out. Mirrans probably aren't where we want to be in this matchup. I probably like the extra path as well. Council's Judgment's interesting. Maybe it's worth it as just removal. Mums can most likely come out, but the Pro Blue can be interesting. Yeah, so one interesting thing is with Veil is that they always name blue with Painter's Servant, so we can actually buy a turn with Veil of Summer, which is nice. Scooze is interesting. If they're playing any number of Goblin 1-drops or Emery, then it's probably worth having the Scavenging Ooze around as just in the deck. Surgical's interesting, but I think that's a little bit too far in. I think we can just play with what we have here. Haha, that's very cool.
I think we still want to have the full 4 green suns because we want to get to Collector Ouphe ASAP. Maybe then we actually want to keep the... Maybe the mums aren't too bad because they can save our creatures from Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast. I think we can drop Scooze. Death Silence is interesting, but if we're trying to build out the board faster than them, it might hit us a little bit worse than them. I'm gonna drop probably the port, go down on a land, maybe drop one of the Veils. Veil's pretty good though. Maybe I can trade a Veil for a Mum. And then Prelate's pretty good, especially against Grindstone, so we can name one. I might go down Nathalia. There we go. That seems pretty nice. I don't mind this setup. Would love to play first. And okay, this hand is okay. We'll keep this. I'm going to go for Savannah into... maybe I actually just want to go... Yeah, I think Savannah's fine. Savannah into Dryad Arbor, and then turn 2 we can play Collector Ouphe and also hold up Swords to Plowshares. So unless they have another turn 1, it's a pretty good start. Sadly, we have to draw a land if we want to play turn 2 Ouphe, because the Cradle doesn't tap for anything. So I think we have to actually just go for the Savannah here. So even though we're not playing around a turn 1 win, which I think is pretty low, especially since they've already done it, hopefully it means that they just don't have it this turn. I guess Force of Vigor would be nice to have in our opening hand, but you can't always have it, so that's going to be fine. Once, okay. Mountain, interesting. Mountain into Goblin would be kind of nice. Okay, that's fine. Please don't play anything else. Okay, nice. Okay. So now we can go Cradle, Ouphe, and then Swords the Goblin Welder. Fairy is pretty good. We can still do it turn 2. We can actually Fairy into Prelate because we can double cast the Savannah, which is nice. A Braid. Okay. Scryb into Thalia is pretty good. I could also Scryb into Prelate for 1. I guess Scryb is free. Because Grindstone is 1 as well. Turns off all the blast effects as well. I don't mind that it turns off our swords here. Tap for white, and then untap this, return this. I mean, I could also play knight. Revoker. That's fine. Probably just naming Scryb Ranger here. Knight, okay. Interesting. They're still attacking. I think it's fine here just to block with the Prelate. There's probably no way that they can deal 1 damage. Unless they have, like, Blazing Volley. Surely they don't have Blazing Volley. I guess they can't because the Prelate's on 1 anyway. Yeah, maybe they're keen on sacking it, so I might as well save the extra damage here. City Trader's Ancient Tomb, okay. Mox, okay. Taps for mana. Painter, okay. Veil's pretty nice. Okay. Let's just go 3 mana and a white. Cast Knight. And then we can also cast Thalia and also hold up Veil. Unless we needed to actually... I guess we can't Veil anyway because of the Sanctum Prelate. So I think we just untap this, return this. Play Savannah. Play Thalia. Pass. I could attack for 1 in the air. Hopefully it doesn't come back to me and bite me. Just a pass isn't too bad. Swords, alright. I guess I'm happy attacking with both of these. Right now, the Prelate's obviously doing a lot worse for me than is my opponent because they most likely only have, at most, one CMC card in hand. We have 2. And these are both great cards, so... They're going to offer the trade here. Double block, interesting. Definitely kill the Revoker. So if they have like Reb here, we can Swords the Painter in response. We could also just Veil. I'm gonna pass, okay. Magus. Interesting. So in response to this, I definitely want to float white. Swords Magus. And then if they have Pyroblast, we can still counter it because we have the Veil. Oh! Oh no! Oh my gosh. You're an idiot. I didn't float the mana. I didn't float the mana. Can we draw into a basic would be really nice. Noble. Rough. Don't draw Grindstone. Don't draw Grindstone. It's fine. That's brutal. Livid. Livid. Ooh. Doesn't do anything yet, but it definitely does. Oh, actually, we can, okay, that's nice because we can turn this into a forest. So we can hold up Veil. Or we can play Noble Hierarch. Ay, ay, ay. I guess at least next turn we can just sack the knight. Yeah, okay. Okay, we have a plan. We can start attacking with knight next turn because we can sack the plains to get a forest and make the knight a 4/4, which can now attack pretty well. Might as well float. Go and get that forest. Alright. This is fine, okay. Alright, now we have Veil. Yeah, the old 9-turn clock. And then it's going to concede. Okay, so luckily our little punt doesn't matter right now. Do we want to change anything? I don't think we do. Mum's pretty interesting, but seeing the Abrade. They didn't see the Veil either. I was trying to wonder how good Prelate actually is, because it does turn off a lot of our interaction. Maybe it's the cut, unfortunately. The chances of seeing it again as just a one-of as well is pretty unlikely, so I don't mind going ahead with just this and hopefully getting back onto the score sheet. Force of Vigor in the opening hand would be really nice. This is okay. If they have a fast start of like a Magus, then it's pretty rough, but I'm going to keep this. Really relying on the Sylvan Library. I might even just lead on Windswept Heath. Wasteland. I guess we can lead on Savannah, because if they do cast... I guess if they cast Blood Moon itself, we're pretty screwed. But if they cast Magus, then we get access to Swords to Plowshares. And if they don't, we can just Swords the Goblin Welder. So I don't mind Savannah. I think the chances that they have a Blood Moon are pretty low. The chances of them having a Magus is probably a lot higher. That's nice from us. Okay. Attacking us. We'll take it. Nothing. Okay, let's get this out of the way. Well, now we can play it pretty safe. If we just want to go Mother into Noble Hierarch. And not hold up swords. I think that's fine. Unless their four hands are LED, Ancient Tomb, Painter, Grindstone. Maybe it's okay as well, just playing it a bit safe. I think I'm happy to hold up swords. Because then next turn we just have access to both of our colours, which is really nice. A fetch here most likely means a braid. Okay. So sadly, I guess we can fetch for just a basic here. That's fine. I'm gonna go Sylvan into Wasteland on Ancient Tomb just to keep them off mana. Nice. It's great for us. Cradle means we can tap it for 2. Kinda want to keep all of these. I might put this on top and then pay for the night. Once, okay. I kind of hope they hit a land. Painter Servant, okay. Just a pass is really nice for us. I guess we can get Night Online, or we can also just Wasteland here. Pay for, put on top. This is free. Then play Reanimator. Get back Wasteland. Wasteland them. And they're just going to concede. Okay, so luckily we get there. But I think they definitely had outs. Even if they draw into... like LED and Grindstone is just the win. But maybe they thought we were showing off Swords Plowshares as well. We're on the board. That's the main thing. After the grind of Omni, Death and Taxes, and then Painter, we're finally getting there. Just scraping through, which is nice. Hey, Herculade. Ah, yeah. Luckily, we could brute force that, which is nice, but not the most clean way to beat Painter. You know what? We have a bit of time. I guess there's 5 matches left. We could try to play another one. I don't mind this list. I could definitely see it being a little bit more consistent with the 4 ofs. So 4 mums, 4 Thalias. I definitely like cutting them down because Plague Engineer is a pretty big issue. But you do, of course, not see them as much as usual, which is a little bit annoying. I do like the Green Suns package. It should be playing Gadog Teeg. It's really just a mistake not to be playing Gadog Teeg. I had it in the main board, and then I moved it to the board, and then what I saw was a second Gadog Teeg in the board, and I took it out, and then let this go, and then I realized that the card I was looking at was Qasali Pridemage in the main deck, so there should be a Gadog Teeg in here. I think if I was going to find room for Gadog Teeg, I would most likely drop the Council's Judgment, and just play Teague in the board. I don't mind Collector Ouphe main, but it's a little bit harder in this deck with the Stoneforge package. But at least we're getting there, which is nice. Quickly gotta check something for work. But yeah, anyone in chat want to let me know what they're playing in Legacy right now? If their local scene is kind of adapting to the virus, and if you're playing online through webcam magic. I know it's a pretty dire place, but... no, today I actually have off. So I actually had a wedding on this weekend that was, of course, cancelled due to the virus. And for at our work, you actually get a day off for your birthday in the month of your birthday, so you can take it whenever. So I chose to take this Friday for the wedding, but as the wedding is off, I now get to play in this this prelim, which is kind of cool. Yeah, really cool. Good culture at Canstar. Would you believe Food Chain? I would believe Food Chain. Do you have any cards left to have in a foreign language for Food Chain, or is it finished, Graham? Also, is my stream dropped? Or is that just me? Is it quite blurry? That's okay. Okay. Nice. Nah, you Gucci. Thanks, guys. Only jewels, but I'm not changing them. Yeah, that's fair. Hey, Jitesh, very cool to see you. Literally just been playing Commander. Should we get to streaming Legacy, but it's been the past 2 weeks. Well, Miguel, I hope you get better soon. And hopefully we see some nice old goblins on stream, which would be very cool. Herculade! Herculade! It's Matt. Hi, Matt. Love it. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick, and I'll be back in a second. Let me do a giveaway as well. We'll do a giveaway after this. I'll be back. Nice. Lost a Gak? Rough. That's 2 Gaks in one league. That's pretty unfortunate. Alright. Let me find a card to give away. Yeah, I wish. Alright. Let's do giveaway Dukes. And the winner will receive a Waterlogged Grove. A pretty sweet card. Waterlogged Grove is pay a life and tap it to add a green or blue to your mana pool. Or for 1, you can sack it and draw a card, which is very cool. So if you type Dukes in chat, you can win this Waterlogged Grove. Which is a pretty sweet card. It sees play in multiple formats. Probably good in Commander. Good in Modern. I believe it gets played in at least Infect, which is pretty nice. Not too sure about Legacy Infect. Haha, I'm not sure if the multiple Dukes works, but I do like the spirit. Pretty cool. But a huge thank you to you guys for coming in and watching. I know the results today haven't been the greatest, but I hope you have been entertained at least. And hopefully we can finish this off. Hopefully this is the first win of the last 2. I am more than fine to send it to Italy. That is more than fine. I think it also plays in some lists in Bug Zoko. Interesting. Yeah, that's fair enough. I do like that although Choke doesn't see too much play anymore, it does play around Choke, which is cool. That's pretty cool. The Luminarch, thank you. GW, thank you. Drum Gun Cracked, thank you. Xian 7, thank you. B. Bradshaw, nice. Knight Rider, nice. Tesh, nice. Milo, nice. Design, nice. Tigers, nice. Damo, Herculade, Ari Fuller, Jesus, Basic Swamp, Tulawa, and Foxorus. Always nice to have you guys here. Giveaway is GM. Graham, welcome. Although it isn't foreign, I'm apologies. I'm apologies to you. I am much apologies. But let me know your, message me on Facebook, give me your address and I'll send it down to you. Postage, free of charge, of course. That's how we do it on Dukes on Twitch. A little bit rigged, yeah. We did speak about this beforehand, so take it as you will. Oh, I kind of want a beer. It's 10:20. Is it too early for a beer? That's a good question. It's a day off as well, which is nice. Never. You know what? It's beer time. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. I gotta be good. I think you gotta work for the beer. And right now, a 1-2 does not deserve a beer. So 10:20 is a new beer o'clock. I like that. 2-2 deserves a beer. Yeah, I feel like 3-2 deserves a beer. And then I can crack it on stream at the very end. That'd be cool. Quarantine rules, airport rules. I like that. I do gotta motivate myself. We gotta motivate each other. Oh, the 1-2 Maverick bracket. Interesting. Would be pretty interesting to come up against Maverick. Tigers, have you played like the different versions of Maverick other than blue-white? Green-white, sorry. I'll crack on open if you do. Very nice. Very cool. Yeah, let's see who's at the top, actually. So Whiteface is currently 3-0. Denounced 3-0. Zon Ast 3-0. Teddy Memes. Will O'Neill. Dean Solver. Boyne. Okay, some good players. Started playing Legacy in 2013, 2014 with Dark Maverick. Very cool. Was that back in the day with like Dark Confidant? I'd love to try that deck out. Give it a go. Even the old like junk Loam lists with like Bob, Lingering Souls, Liliana the Veil. Cool cards. Cool cards. Nice. Zealous Deathrite. Yes, old school. Very cool. Yeah, sadly Bob vs. Oko is meh, but insert creature vs. Oko is meh. I guess other than Mirran Crusader. We haven't even seen Mirran yet. Pretty rough. One thing I do like about shifting Ceratops as well is that it's pretty good against Painter. Can't really block it, which is nice. Doomsday in second place. That's very cool. I think Doomsday has a lot of game behind it right now, which is cool. So you know what? If we go 3-2, I will crack one with them for sure. You fetched for a maze? Classic. The old classic don't read. I guess maze is a little bit harder of an interaction than just reading the card and being like, oh, maze should stop this. But yeah, at least he learned. And I think they're the lessons that really put forward, you know, you definitely won't make that mistake again. Which is definitely something that I've done as well. I have a minute. I have a funny story. So I played Death and Taxes for a long time. It was my first Legacy deck. In my first tournament, paper tournament, I played against Painter in round 1. And I kind of figured out that what I had to do was stop Grindstone with Phyrexian Revoker. So I played Phyrexian Revoker, and I paused. No, sorry, it was Pithing Needle. I had Pithing Needle, I paused, and I named Ancient Tomb, which does nothing. And of course, I lost that game. And then in game 3, I had Pithing Needle again, and they had Grindstone out, and I named Ancient Tomb again. I just did not know what was happening. I did not know why I was doing it, but I just couldn't say Grindstone when I cast this stupid Pithing Needle, and I just couldn't get through. Yeah, stupid, rough. Just like that tunnel vision of like, okay, Grindstone, Grindstone, Grindstone. Oh, they played an Ancient Tomb? Okay, I'm going to name that. Because that obviously does something. It does nothing. It did piss myself off. I feel like Mike Tyson saying that. Hey, that must have pissed yourself off. Okay. Round 4. Hopefully on the play. I don't think we've been on the play yet. Maybe in round 1. Okay, eat your dead. Okay, can we get Noble Hierarch and Knight? Noble Hierarch and Knight. Okay, that's better. We'll keep this. Nice. Nice. Rough. It's probably still correct just to throw a Noble Hierarch into it. Because at least if they get the Chancellor in play... So, we're definitely playing the Horizon Canopy. We're definitely playing this game out. So playing Horizon Canopy. The reason to play the Noble Hierarch here is that A, it triggers the Chancellor its first ability, so that if it gets into play next turn, we don't have to pay an extra 2 for Noble Hierarch. It kind of time walks us. And it also means we have a creature in the bin if they want to exhume, which even though it's only a Noble Hierarch, that might add up. So I'm going to go ahead and just cast the Noble here and let it go to the bin. But this is going to be a tough one. We do have Surgical and Tormod's Crypt and Bog in the sideboard, which is nice. I do like the versions with Once Upon a Time and Fairy Macabre a lot. I think Deafening Silence is fine against Reanimator on the play as well because of Dark Ritual. Interesting, Cabal Therapy. Most likely for Swords to Plowshares here. I think that's just the best, probably the best name blind. Oh, themselves. Okay, that makes a lot of sense as well. Okay, so we do get the Noble back. Interesting. We sadly don't have Maze of Earth, so we can't get back from the win that we did last time. Maybe there's a world with Cradle we can actually blast zone up. But otherwise, it's looking pretty bad. Just 6ing here. Probably looking for some amount of Dark Ritual and Tomb and another way to get a creature back onto the battlefield. Probably just Elishin on here. They could go for Ashen Rider if they really wanted to, but I guess Ashen doesn't do anything against Swords to Plowshares. Or Karakas. You probably want to save it for when we have Karakas. Grave Titan. That's pretty good. I wonder if this is just mono black. We haven't seen a red card yet. Yeah. And main deck Grave Titan usually gives that away. Yeah, it definitely seems like mono black. I guess I could have also drawn a card to see if we get Karakas before we yeah, doesn't matter. Okay. Sideboarding's interesting. I like taking out Gideon. Mirran's okay if it's mono black. Prelate's interesting. I sometimes usually just take out the full Stoneforge Mystic package, but if they're on Grave Titan, I'm a little more hesitant to do that. I don't mind Deafening Silence. I don't mind Surgical. I don't mind Tormod's Crypt. Veil's interesting. Bog's really good. I'm going to put these over here. I'm going to put these over here. Path is probably pretty good as well. Mum's still good. We can definitely take out probably a Port. Blast Zone doesn't do a whole lot. Questing Beast can come out. If we take out this... 64. Maybe the double Force isn't needed. I kind of like Force because of Animate Dead. Can probably drop a Mirran. Can probably drop Prelate. They just have so many good 1, 2, and 3. Qasali is still okay. Might drop down on 1 library. Like that looks okay. The libraries are still good because we can be pretty aggressive with them, especially to try to find something like Surgical or Tormod's Crypt. Haha. Oh, very cool. Yeah, traditional Jund is very cool. I've played against it a few times in the past couple of months, but it is obviously very fair. So that is a pretty big battle. I'm going to go ahead with this, and hopefully if there's a game 3, we can maybe see what else we might change if we see some more cards out of their deck in the second game. Pretty rough. Only Boggers a land. I think this is okay in just holding up Veil. We have Green Suns, which is nice. That's cool. Croxa and Clots together seem really nice as well because it keeps the graveyard fueled with cards. The issue with this hand is it's not really doing a whole lot, especially in the face of a Chancellor trigger. I'm gonna mulligan once more. This is a lot better. Okay, we'll keep this. And I think we just bottom the bog. Bottom bog, bottom wasteland. Just gonna go for Verdant into Noble. And then play Tormod's Crypt. And then pass. They could also just have like Dark Ritual into like Rotting Regisaur, which would be really good. I'm also going to expect most likely some number of Collective Brutality, so I have to look out for them as well. Entomb. Okay. Grizzlebrand. Chrome Mox. Okay. If they want to go down on a card, that's fine. Unmask. Interesting. Now I'm pretty happy to keep the Tormod's Crypt around and just surgical this Grizzlebrand. Archetype of Endurance is interesting, and a card that I really need either Mother of Runes, Mirran Crusader, or Council's Judgment to deal with. Ashen Rider is really nice at getting rid of Karakas. They have a bunch of Wear Tears, which is actually pretty funny. Serenity as well, even though we're not playing Leyline, so maybe they take that out. So we'll definitely take out this Grizzlebrand, this Grizzlebrand, this Grizzlebrand, and this Grizzlebrand. So it looks like they took out most of their hand disruption, like Thoughtseize or things like that. And we know the two cards left in their hand are Animate Dead and Elish Norn. Scryb Ranger. Scryb Ranger is kind of cool because it is free. It also means we can attack this turn. So we can go Scryb Ranger. Untap, return, play this, attack for 1. Untap, return this. Play this. Attack for 1. Rough. Lantern is a pretty rough matchup by itself, so I definitely don't feel bad for you there. Land is interesting. We can also keep this land in hand, because we can go 1, 2, untap this, return this. Hey, Lord627, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? Just gonna Green Suns here for Knight. And attack for 2 with Scryb Ranger. I'm getting Knight over Scavenging Ooze because Scooz isn't doing too much right now. The Knight represents both Bog and Karakas, which is nice, and also just a fast threat because I need to close out this game pretty fast before my opponent finds some way around this Tormod's Crypt. Just a pass. Okay, that's what I like to see. Hierarch. Alright. So I think here I just want to attack with the knight. And then before damage, I can actually untap it, returning this. And then I can sack this for Karakas. I can also just go for more lands, which I don't mind, because then I can use Scryb Ranger a little bit more. So I'm going to go for Windswept Heath, fetch up another Savannah. What's a good Friday beer? There's a few. I would say a pale ale. Pale ales are pretty nice. Mum. 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm pretty sure we just have this because we can. Because you have to sack a land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. That's fine because we haven't played a land yet, have we? I don't think we did. No, we played Savannah. Okay. Maybe I just played a little bit safer. Actually, what happens if we go... Because if I untap the knight, sack a Savannah, get a wasteland, that's only 2, because we have to return one of the Savannahs to our hand. I think we don't play anything tricky, we just pass with Bog and Karakas open through knight. I think that's good enough. Nice. Looking back, I don't think we changed anything. I think we just run back the same list. The extra Force of Vigor is interesting if they are on Animate Dead. I believe they were on the full 4. Which might just be better than the second Veil on the play. On the draw, sorry. Just because it can be an out to a reanimate through Animate Dead. I think it's worth it. And also seeing the Chromox as well. We can take them off mana. If we really want to be aggressive. I think this is fine. See how it runs. There was a mull to 5 too, so mulling to hate can definitely help your chances here. This is interesting. A little bit slow, but I don't mind it. We get to cast Deafening Silence, which is kind of cool. We'll see what our opponent does. They chose to play first. And they're going to keep, so we'll keep as well. So I guess we just hope they don't go off here because then we have Bog. Oh, really? Really? Is this happening? Is this happening? Alright. Definitely not over. They could have a pretty fast start here. Fetching during their turn. Interesting. Force is nice. I think I like Scooze. Scooze just getting into play seems pretty nice. I could play Deafening Silence if I want to stop. I guess Deafening Silence kind of stops Grizzlebrand a little bit. It also stops Dark Ritual. I guess in the scheme of things, there's no big difference between Scavenging Ooze this turn and next turn, other than having 2 mana open next turn. I think Silence is fine. Mum's also okay. I think it's going to be Deafening Silence here. I just want to try to slow them down as much as possible. Looks like they're going to Entomb. Okay, that's fine. So I hope they have Animate Dead if they do have a way to get it back. Lucky. So I'm pretty sure it's an ETB effect, so when it enters the battlefield, if it's on the battlefield, so doesn't Animate Dead come into play, and now I can force it, and the Grizzlebrand never comes into play. So we can cast this, targeting this. Let's just do this quickly. Cast by exiling a green card, target this, exile the Green Suns. And now the Grizzlebrand won't come into play. They can't do anything because of the Deafening Silence. And now we get to untap with the Scooze and a green mana. Nice. Land. Scooze. Pass. Very nice. This could be like Rotting Regisaur at 3 mana. Tear. Okay. Fetch here, probably just for another Savannah and eat Grizzlebrand. I don't really have an instant way to get it, so I'm happy just to eat it here. Alright. Now, I think Mum is worth it, and then just to hold up 1 green and start attacking. Nice. How do we even lose? I think we lose by us making a mistake. I guess they could put 2 creatures in the bin and then exhume. That's a way for them to win. But looks like we get there. So we are back to 2-2 after a pretty poor start. So that's a nice feeling. 2-2. Very cool. Very, very cool. It's always nice to beat Reanimator as well. It's one of those decks that just can win out of nowhere. So getting the win there always feels really nice. Yeah, I think their only possibility there was to drop, say, Grizzlebrand and Elishnorn in the bin, and then just keep, and then cast Exhume, and we can only eat 1. But I guess that's not the worst. It is kind of scary because then it kills the Mum, Elishnorn most likely, and the Scooze can't really do anything as a 1/1. And Elishnorn has Vigilance, so you have to kind of draw into... I guess we have Swords to Plowshares in hand, which isn't too bad. So, yeah, it's pretty tough for my opponent to win there. Maybe Grave Titan. Maybe Grave Titan there is pretty good. I guess we still have the swords, so the swords really helps in hand. But the Force of Vigor there was so good. And why it's just so good on Animate Dead, because they never get a chance to actually have the creature in play. Nice. Good times. Good times. Good times. Good times. I really just want to bring up someone else's stream and watch that as we play. Is Phil playing in this? I don't think he is. Yeah, I believe Phil is just playing in a league. Okay. Yeah, Helm's pretty good. I guess you get main deck Rest in Peace, which is really nice. And also Energy Flux, which means they can't really attack either. I guess they might have Ashen Rider, but they have to get it into play before you have Rest in Peace, so usually that's not going to occur, which is pretty funny. But yeah, Blue Red Helm is definitely hasn't seen too much play recently. One card I kind of miss seeing is Moat. I think Moat's pretty cool. There's not, I guess there's Ice Fangs and Baleful Strixes and Brazen Borrowers, so maybe Moat's a little bit worse. Especially that Brazen Borrower gets to bounce it as well. Whoa. 7 matches left. Interesting. Dreadnought is currently 3-1, which is very cool, on Bant Maverick Depths, which is cool. I believe there's also a prelim tonight, which is pretty good. So I will play that as well, which should be pretty fun. Do you think Grave Hate is good against the Titan deck? I think some amount is fine. I think I'm okay with just Ooze. It's mainly Ramanap. I don't think any versions play Loam. I think they just rely on Ramanap to use as their graveyard. Yeah, E-Shooter seems very cool in blue-white. That's very true. Very cool card. But yeah, I think the Titan deck, I'm pretty happy to not bring in like designated graveyard hate other than Scavenging Ooze, unless I see Loam. But that deck is pretty scary. The deck is pretty scary, especially because Valakut with the new Dryad can kind of just get some wins out of nowhere, or just decimate your board pretty fast as well. Can't believe we got turn 1 by Painter. That was kind of cool. If you guys want to check out the deck list, you should be able to see it on Cardboard Live, which is over here. Do I not have it set up? My bad. I thought I did have Cardboard Live set up. Let me quickly check my created dashboard, because that should definitely be on. Nice. There we go. That should be... Yeah, there's the deck. Okay, nice. So now the deck is live in Cardboard Live. Thanks for letting me know. I couldn't see it myself either. But yeah, for those of you who don't know what Cardboard Live is, you should be able to see it. Where is it? Yeah, over here. There it is. You can click this out and look at the deck, which is pretty sweet. Very cool extension. And 100% free, which is very cool. So, big shout out to Cardboard Live. I think the shift away from Stoneforge is fine. I haven't played Stoneforge for a little while because I think main deck Collector Ouphe is really good. And also just Oko can deal with equipment so well. There's also... I always find that Maverick has a pretty good matchup against the mid-range decks anyway. So having the Stoneforge package is a little bit overkill, where you could have more hate for combo decks. or you could also have cards like Plague Engineer or Sanctum Prelate. So a deck that I used to play, I think my version is here. Green, white, black. Yeah, so this is the version that I really like playing. So this runs 2 main deck Engineered Plague. It runs Prelate, Collector Ouphe, Sylvan Safekeeper over 4th Mum, because you can search for it with Green Suns, which is nice. You can also just make your Knights really huge later on. And then also cards like Abrupt Decay in the main deck is really nice. And I couldn't find a space. I really just play more removal than the Stoneforge package in this deck, which I really like because I don't find that I need the extra beatdown plan to get through other creature decks. We already have big creatures, so the equipment isn't doing too much. Yeah, Vraska I really like because... let me bring up this. Vraska is really cool because I like that she sticks around even after you deal with an Oko. So the one reason that I don't like Oko is that it usually gets value straight away. So if you spend an Abrupt Decay or a Council's Judgment on it, you're most likely down like virtual card advantage. So at least with Vraska or Golgari Queen, you can Abrupt Decay the Oko, but then still have Vraska around. So they need to deal with it on top of losing their Oko, which is nice. So it kind of brings you up to parity on that. I believe there are only 5 rounds. Hey Phil, a huge thank you. Phil was just on Traditional Jund in Legacy. How'd you go? Also very cool. That's a very cool emote. Haha. Nice. Oh, I can't do it, of course. Okay, my bad. Well, I guess I can if I sub. 2-3. Yeah, it's a rough life. I liked, someone came into chat and said you were playing both the new gods in the, Clothus. I'm gonna remove that from the stream. Clothus, whatever its name is, and also the 2-1, the red and black, which seemed really good. Did you play, I saw a deck playing Hex Drinker, which was kind of cool. Yeah, it seems really strong, and it seems really hard to deal with outside of Council's Judgment. I'm not too sure if there's another way to deal with it. But that's very cool. I like that you're trying out a lot of decks right now. So anyone who is, of course, into Legacy, definitely check out Thrabanu, previously known as Thraben University, for a pretty good variety of decks right now. Ah, interesting. Okay, Croxa, that's it. Thraben, sorry. Gaz Chamber, I am currently from Australia. I don't know why I said currently from, because I've always been from Australia. Phil, what did you play against on Jund? Also, for you guys that came in, my name is Dukes on Twitch. I have a website, kind of like Phil, called the Green Sun Zenith, which is dedicated to Legacy Maverick. We're currently playing in a Legacy Preliminary. We are 2-2. Lost the first 2, won the last 2. And it looks like we're going into the last one, hopefully relatively shortly. 2 people left in to try to finish this off with a 3-2 record. We're currently on a green-white version. That should be here somewhere. I think I'm just not seeing it right. There it is. So, like Death and Taxes, we're playing Mirran Crusader, which is nice. I thought Mirran was a pretty good choice for this tournament because of Bug being so good, but we actually haven't seen it yet, nor have we seen Bug, so that's pretty interesting. Belcher Loam, and I don't remember the rest. I played the Super League event today. Oh wow, okay, rough. How did you go in the Super event? Bug seems pretty good. There's a lot of different variants to the deck. There's some splashing white, but the majority of the actual Bug decks are just like Leovold, Plague Engineer, Oko, some play Gilded Goose, Brazen Burrower. It's really just it's kind of like the new Jund. It's definitely a very just all good card kind of deck. 6-3 with Red Prison, interesting. The split of Birds in Paradise and I like the split of Birds and Noble Hierarch. I like them for two reasons. One is that blocking flyers can be really good. It can actually buy the turn that you need. With Mother of Runes, of course, you can also just buy some time against things like Marit Lage or Delver. Also, having just mana dorks that actually produce black is pretty important as well. So you can actually have a start where you don't actually have to go for black jewels early on because you can use Birds of Paradise to churn out something like a turn 2 Plague Engineer, which is kind of cool. I also like that it plays around Plague Engineer. They have to name either bird or human if they want to kill either one of them. You can't just, name human and then have all my mana dorks turned off, which is nice. The one small downside of playing birds in this list is that because we're not running a Stoneforge Mystic package, we can't really attack with birds outside of having Exalted. But otherwise, the split's been really nice. I do like 2 and 2. I could see myself going up to 5 if I was playing more 3-drops, which is it's pretty close to that, seeing the amount that I actually play. But yeah, I think the split's really nice right now. Would have played 4-color Loam. Yeah, 4-color Loam is in a pretty good spot. I know that Connor is doing some really good, having some really good finishes with like blue Loam. And then I know Jono Yannick is playing a kind of different Maverick style deck that we played on stream last Sunday. That's like a Bant Maverick Depths deck, which is pretty cool. But I think Loam seems pretty fantastic. I think the explosive starts that you get with Mox Diamond are so good because your Mox Diamonds can just turn into 3/3s later on with Oko. And then, you use the graveyard pretty well, but you can definitely get through games where your opponent has like a Leyline or a Rest in Peace because you don't rely too much on the graveyard. Uro's kind of changed that, but Uro has definitely given the deck a new kind of angle of attack as well. I think one thing that's kind of hard for Uro right now is for decks to really find what the right mana base is with the blue, green escape cost. Because I think it was you guys in the podcast Everyday Eternal talking about how people consider Tropical Island as a blue source and a green source in those decks, but they shouldn't because you're only tapping it for one of those colors when you're casting Uro. So you have to make sure that instead of just having like 3 trops, you should actually have an amount of lands in the deck that breaks it up. So you can have multiple lands to tap for Uro. Yeah, I think it's really nice for Loam because they now have a threat that you can Loam and also get back onto the Eternal Glory. Sorry, of course, Eternal Glory with you, Brian, and Bryant, which is very cool. I really like the chemistry between you guys. Hey, Wing Husker, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? So we are playing the Mirran build, and we're currently with 1 round left. What time is it where you are, Phil? 9 p.m? Okay. Because I believe there's another prelim in maybe 5 hours. I think it's at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. my time, which I assume is around midnight for you. We can actually have a look. It is in prelim in 6 hours. Okay. Yeah, so it's pretty nice. Always Redback Reanimator. Very cool. I like the always. Kind of like once you go red black, you never go back. 6 hours. Okay, so that's at 5 for me. Nice. Cause yeah, I was gonna try this one out as well, which would be pretty fun. The prelims are pretty cool. We got turn 1. We got turn 1 by Painter. I think I have the yeah, here you go. My opponent went turn 1 Ancient Tomb, Grim Monolith, Painter, Grindstone, LED, activate Grindstone, target us, which was pretty hilarious. Hey Arnie, thanks for the follow. Let me know where you're from. If you play Legacy, what do you play in Legacy? I'd love to know. But we have played against blue-green OmniTell in match 1. That was pretty rough. We just didn't really have anything by the time they had the combo going. So turn 1 game 1 we got Emerald. And game 2 we got hit by just a Omniscience into Cunning Wish into Shed Summonings. Match 2 was against Death and Taxes, which usually for Maverick is pretty solid, but we just couldn't keep up with their value. We had a really interesting game 3 where neither of us cast anything on turn up till like turn 3, which was pretty crazy. And then we got up against, I'm gonna say, interesting. Hey, Guru Plague, welcome. We just played against Black Red Reanimator, and before that, I'm kind of stumped. Cyphro Pile looks pretty cool as well. I saw Cyphro's at the top of the list, I believe. Or maybe it's Anzi. Hey, we have... Okay, round 5's coming up. Very cool. I'm going to quickly go to the bathroom. I'll be back in 1 second. Hopefully for the time for this match to be ready. 2 seconds. Nice. Yeah, P5 is in a weird spot. Not great against 3/3s or X3s, I guess. So things like Elks, Dreadhorde Arcanist. It's tough. But it's always been in an interesting spot. Hopefully play against something a little bit grindy. I'd like to try that out. I'd love to see Mirran Crusader. We haven't seen Mirran yet, but you know it is a 2 of in a Green Sun Zenith deck, so you know you can't always expect to see it, especially when you can't tutor for it. Here we go. Best luck to my opponent. Monkeys can't cry. Okay. This is an interesting one. We already have the Jide, and we already have the Dryad Arbor, so we can't even use Green Sun straight away. Master's interesting. It's just hard to cut Questing Beast, and then if you're not playing Questing Beast, it's hard not to go for something like Shifting Ceratops. I think sadly this hand just isn't that great. We can't do anything on turn 1 unless we draw into a Mana Dork. And having the Dryad Arbor in the opening hand is just a little bit rough, so I'm going to mulligan this. I want to get like a Thalia. This is a bit better. I don't mind keeping this and bottoming the Blast Zone. The Blast Zone we can at least find with Knight. And here I probably just want a Green Sun straight away for Dryad Arbor to try to get this Knight out. Unless we're playing against a fair deck where I want to get the Mother out, but I think either way I'm happy dropping the Blast Zone. So Green Sun's 1 acting for mana, and Green Sun's 2 hopefully getting some sort of silver bullet. Yeah, we tried to, we played green, white, black in Cube, which was pretty interesting. Ritual, okay. There's Doomsdaying straight away, interesting. Can we even beat this? I guess we can draw into Prelate in the main deck? I'm not even sure what Prelate names. I think sadly this is just game one. At least we get to look at the deck. Teferi for bounce. They probably have one Thassa, okay. Delta, Delta, Delta. It looks like Delta's in the mix. It might even just be like 4 lands and Thassa's Oracle. Alright. I guess we can, you know, we can try to get there, but it's going to be pretty tough with just creatures. Rough, and then just have Oracle. Street Wraith into it. Cool. Rough. This is going to be an interesting one. We do have Deafening Silence, which slows him down a little bit. But other than that, I think it's definitely Collector Ouphe time. Deafening Silence. Veil's interesting, especially if they have Thoughtseize, but otherwise it's not the greatest. I'm not sure if Force is worth it either. I think we can definitely take out the Swords to Plowshares. Sadly, I think if we're trying to play a game where we're going to Swords or remove the Thassa in response, I'm going to assume that it's go to 0 cards. Yeah. Blast Zone can come out. I don't think even Surgical is that great. Thankfully they don't run Labman. Thassa's definitely covers that, which is good. Yeah, Surgical... Because I think with Doomsday, I think they actually get rid of everything in the yard, including Doomsday. I think it all just gets exiled, so you don't actually have anything to target with Surgical. Doomsday. Search your library and graveyard for 5 cards and exile the rest. Okay, so Doomsday is left. Maybe it's worth trying... Like, we don't really have anything else. I think we can pretty safely take out the Stoneforge Mystic package as well. Force is interesting if they're wanting to play out anything. Maybe the Veils are okay. We can at least cycle them. I may keep GW because at least it can turn a small threat into a powerful threat each turn. And then just go for Hex Drinker. Hex Drinker at least can be a fast clock. This is rough. We don't really have any mana here. And the Green Sun's coming cast. We'll mulligan this. This is pretty good. We'll keep this. Probably keep this and bottom the Knight. And then try to just go for Prelate. Prelate for 3 is pretty good. It just doesn't play around Echoing Truth, but it does play around Doomsday and Teferi. I think we might bottom the Knight here, because at least we can just find the Knight with Green Suns later on. So we do have more copies in the deck than Thalia, Prelate, and Sylvan Library, so... hopefully this is okay. That's fine. I don't believe my opponent will play Massacre, but maybe that's a card that I have to consider as well. I think just Prelate for 3 is fine, and then next turn we can play both Thalia and Sylvan Library. Thalia first. The issue with Thalia first is that it does screw up some of our past ones. I guess Thalia does stop Doomsday next turn because they have to play a land, Ritual for 3 mana, but then Doomsday costs 4. Thalia is pretty nice. We'll see what they do with the Ponder as well. That's definitely information that I want to know. Chose not to shuffle with Ponder. Maybe Thalia is okay. Yeah, it does make a lot of them early mana, or at least early turns, pretty poor. Port and Thalia is good. It's just an issue that we don't have anything else to really do. I don't think it's correct just to pass with Port. I think here we have to go either Prelate or Knight. Or Library. I just don't think using Port and then having 2 mana left over is going to win us the game. I do like White Knight. Swords is pretty good. And like, if they play a 3rd land into Teferi here and bounce the Knight, then it's pretty bad. Brainstorm isn't too bad. I think I'm probably going to go after their... Astrolabe's fine. Surgical. Interesting. I don't think I want to Surgical anything just yet, but Surgical and Prelate here are pretty nice together. I wonder how many Brainstorms they usually play. Doomsday, MTG. Goldfish. Okay, so they usually play 3 Swords. And Swords is an issue because it is a way to get rid of Prelate. So I kind of want to Surgical Swords here, see what they have in hand, and then make my number based on what we see. Okay. So naming 3 turns off Teferi as well, which is really nice. And then they have Echoing Truth left as a 1-of. Also Dead of Winter. Interesting. Okay. So take this, take this. Snip this. Take this. They have a Flooded Strand left. I should have seen what their actual mana base was as well. That's a pretty big miss. Now I wonder if I actually just want to go Sylvan Library here instead of Wasteland, because I'm not too afraid of them going off next turn. I'd rather just try to get my hand out. So I think you're actually just like getting rid of Savannah, making this knight bigger by getting a fetch land, getting a Savannah, and playing the Sylvan Library. So this is the hand that we know. Street Wraith. Alright. That's okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. I feel like the format is definitely play Brainstorm or play a deck that can beat Brainstorm. And I feel like Maverick has the tools to beat Brainstorm pretty well, which is nice. Definitely with the taxing element. Okay. We didn't see Divining Witches in the deck, no. Which is good for us. Knight is a very cool card. Okay. What do they do with Ponder? Chose not to shuffle. Okay, interesting. Green Suns is nice. We can Green Suns for Ouphe, which is kind of cool. If we Green Suns for Ouphe, then I like the Hierarch because we can... Oh, no, okay. So we actually have to use 4 mana to Green Suns for Collector Ouphe because the Prelate is stopping a Green Suns for 2. So here I don't mind just putting this on top, putting this on top. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Green Suns for 2. Oh, for 3, but we'll get Collector Ouphe. Oh, unless they have a Force of Will. Okay, they don't. Collector Ouphe. Attack with Prelate. And then, just in case... We didn't see Terminus, so I don't really have to take them off the white, but I think taking them off the white is fine. They probably don't have too many white sources in their deck, especially with the Astrolabe now turned off. Oh, they have Echoing Truth. Interesting. Okay. Maybe I should have done this pre-combat. Sorry, post-combat. There's no real reason to do it pre-combat. Maybe they can just do it here, which is pretty rough. This is one reason why I do like Sylvan's Safekeeper in the deck, because it can protect Prelate pretty well. Predict is pretty much the same thing. Rough. Tough. Ah, wait, is there another one, or is that it? Surely that's it, because there's only 5 rounds. I believe that's just it. Which is rough. Doomsday is just one of those decks where you don't have much interaction for, so we can't really do too much other than try to just play out what we have and hope for the best. There's no one card that just beats it, which is rough, especially with Echoing Truth and Teferi in the deck. Deafening Silence is okay, but you know you have to find them as well, which isn't always the easiest thing. But I feel like that's the whole thing. Let me quickly check. I think we just dropped from the event. I think that's how it works. Angel's Grace? Interesting. Angel's Grace is pretty funny. I think you just drop. Because there isn't another round. Yeah, it's only 5 rounds and we're currently 3-2. Or 2-3, sorry. Rough. Angel's Grace is interesting. But the decks seem pretty cool. One card that I really missed, and I should have just had it, was either Collector Ouphe in the... Hey, Loud, how's it going? Welcome. We just finished our prelim, which was done in a pretty disappointing fashion, going down 2-3. Going down to Death and Taxes, OmniTell, and Doomsday, but getting up against Reanimator and one more. But Lout, I will be back in 6-ish hours for the next prelim, and probably a different deck. I might try out the black version that I've been running. This has been pretty fun. I think that Leyline is probably just better than these 4 here. Leyline just turns off so many decks a lot more. And probably more Deafening Silences are needed. I could probably see myself adding a Path to Exile and dropping down on the Council's Judgment as well. Gato Teague, of course, needs to be in here as well, which is rough just not to have it in the 75. That was a mistake, but I think we could Teague in the main deck pretty easily. We do have a Gideon, which can't be cast, but you know we've also done it for years with Green Suns in the deck. So changing this up, I'd probably just drop a Library, play the Teague, which makes Green Suns all that better because you can find a Silver Bullet like Teague. But otherwise, pretty good. I think we got pretty unlucky at some points. Play the 3 CMC Gideon. Yeah, it's rough because I need to have Gideon out and then also probably Prelate on 3 as well against a deck like Doomsday, and if they have Echoing Truth, it just doesn't do it anyway. You can't lose the game with a totem in play. Yeah, they can have Echoing Truth, which is tough. Yeah, definitely very ironic. So, for the most part, the more green cards you have in the deck, the more powerful Green Sun Zenith becomes. But of course, Gaddock Teeg on the field means that Green Suns can't actually be cast thereafter. So, you got to take the good with the bad. Unfortunately, that is it. A huge thank you to everyone who came in and watched. Hopefully this afternoon we come back and fight a little bit harder with the black version. To all of those who followed, a huge thank you. To Graham, who won the giveaway, which was a Waterlog Grove. Very cool. Yeah, if you guys want to catch me next time, I'll be live in about 6 hours. Maybe, yeah, about 6 hours. 5.5 hours. 5.5 hours. But that is me. My name is Dukes on Twitch. You can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/c/Dukes on Twitch, or just YouTube/Dukes on Twitch. Also on Twitter at /Dukes on Twitch. Yeah, I'll try to have a nice cold one. I might even have a cold one while we play the game out. I'm gonna send you guys over to John, because he is most likely playing some Legacy as well, and obviously a pretty good player. So we will raid. Thank you all again. Obviously not the result we wanted, but you know, I think we fought pretty hard for what we could, so that's always nice. Cheers.